Good morning, 5th grade. Today we're going to continue reading in our novel, The Birch Bark House. Before we get started, we have a quick write. It says, describe your best friend. Why are you friends with him or her? Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus question. The focus question is, what words or phrases does the author use to describe and end? What details best demonstrate the type of relationship the friends have? Our vocabulary words are identity, and that is the fact of being who or what a thing is. And so your identity is how you would describe yourself. The next word is debt, and that is when you owe money to someone. So this person has credit card debt. He's changed his credit card. He owes money to the credit card company. And then the last thing is captive. And that is a person or an animal who's been taken prisoner or they are confined. All right, open up your book to page 216. And we're going to be using our CSPS strategy. And for boxes 3B and 4B, we're just going to have the quote. So there's only one problem in this one, and there's only one solution. All right, I'm going to start reading on page 216. There we go. It was such a good sugaring year, said Day-Day. We'll be able to pay off most of our bill at the trader. I want to come, yelled Pinch. Day-Day was loading his big pack frame with bound McCups of sugar. There was much more than they would use all year. Old Tallow had her fill of sugar too, and Nakoma said that in all her memory, there had never been a sugar year like this one. At the trader's, Day-Day paid off the winter's debt and bought a length of blue broadcloth for Mama to sew into a dress. He bought Pinch some calico trim for a pair of moccasins, and a piece of velvet cloth for Angeline to use as she wished. For Nakomis, sewing needles and a cup of shining copper. For Omachias, he bought a small cross stamped out of German trade silver. The night Day-Day gave her the cross, she sewed it onto the front of her dress. Andag loved the look of it and tried constantly to pluck it from her dress. He landed on her shoulder over and over and nearly hung upside down to try to peck it with his beak. In the morning, Andag greeted Omachias with fluttering wings, ducking his head to accept a little scratch, cooing with a sweet and gurgly sound. Omachias had never heard a crow make such a sound before, and she knew it was a special sign of affection. She was certain of it one day when Andag hopped toward her with a twig in his beak. She carefully took it, thanked her crow, and laid the twig aside. All that day, wherever she turned, there was Andag, hopeful, carrying a piece of bark for her. At last, Omachias scratched Andag's neck and sat down to feed him and talk to him. He listened, his eyelids closed, flew, his neck tucked down in quiet bliss. You want to make a nest with me, don't you? Said Omachias. I can't. I love you, but I'm not a bird. She was surprised to find that, as she said this, tears formed in her eyes. Andag loved her so much. We'll stop right there because we have information about the character and the setting. In box 1A, we would write, Andag and Omachias greet each other in the morning as friends. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, you can write down this sentence on page 217. In the morning, Andag greeted Omachias with fluttering wings, ducking his head to accept a little scratch, cooing with a sweet and gurgling sound. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the setting. And for the setting, in box 2, we would write, the family had a record year for sugaring. Day-Day was able to pay off the winter's debt to the trader and buy the family the things they needed. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. For the quote, you can write down what we have underlined on page 216. Nokomis said that in all her memory, there had never been a sugar year like this one. Press pause to write down your answer. And keep going to the next sentence. At the traders, Day paid off the winter debt. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. Go ahead and turn the page around at the top of page 218. You will have to find another crow, she said, very gently. Andeg didn't seem to hear. Still, after that, he would leave for hours at a time. Now Nokomis was afraid that he would be taken for a wild bird and shot or killed. She attached a bit of red wool to his leg. Andeg managed to pull it off with his clever beak. He could untie almost anything if he worked hard enough. One day, while Amachius was working just outside the cabin in the cool air, watching a fire Nokomis had made to smoke some of the fish Day caught, just at the ice breakup, there was a certain harsh cawing of crows. A group of wheeling, excited blackbirds passed overhead. Just like that, without a goodbye, Andeg jumped off her shoulder. He flew, zinging upward into the midst of the flock. In a second, he was indistinguishable from the others. Amachius felt her heart squeeze shut painfully. As the birds passed out of sight, he was gone. Maybe she should have cut away essential feathers from his wings, but she couldn't stand to think of him a captive. No, she decided, though her heart hurt, it was better that he joined with his own kind. He wasn't human, no matter how often he said, "Go, Pinch," or greeted her with the door croaking out, "Aneen, Aneen." Andeg stole and hoarded bits of bright cloth and shiny metal shards. He wasn't a human, he was still a crow, and she couldn't change that. We'll stop right there because we have information about the problem. In box 3A, you would write, Andeg left Amachius and flew away with a group of crows. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we would write, Amachius felt her heart squeeze shut painfully as the birds passed out of sight. He was gone. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. We're on page 119. She couldn't change that any more than she could change being who she was. Amachius, who heard the voices of plants and went dizzy. Amachius, who talked to bear boys and received their medicine. Amachius, who missed her one brother and resented the other, who envied her sister. Amachius, the little frog, whose first step was a hop. Amachius, who'd lost her friend. She thought she had cried all the tears she had to cry, but still she found there was some left for Andeg. Amachius put her hands to her face and sobbed until she felt just enough better. After all, she thought Andeg was wild, and she had always known it, always expected this moment to come. The thought comforted her. There was a yard looking into the heart of a fire. Amachius suddenly experienced a strange awareness. Like Andeg, she couldn't help being just who she was. Amachius in this skin, in this place, in this time. Nobody else. No matter what, she wouldn't ever be another person or really know the thoughts of anyone but her own self. She closed her eyes. For a moment she felt as though she were falling from a great height, plunging through air and blackness, tumbling down with nothing to catch at. With a start of fear she opened her eyes and felt herself gently touched down, right where she was in her own body, here. We'll stop right there because we have information about the solution. In box 4A, you would write, Amachius cried because she missed Andeg so much. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. For the quote, you would write down this sentence at the bottom of page 219, top of page 220. She thought she had cried all the tears she had to cry, but still found there were some left for Andeg. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. Paragraph says, describe Amachius and Andeg's relationship. What qualities does Andeg have that make him a good friend? And for this, you'll want to focus on the first two pages, page 216 and page 217.